The heat of a typical Abdulhaman afternoon wrapped around everything like a damp blanket. Students lounged on the grass under the sprawling acacia trees, laughter mixing with the distant honk of jeepneys beyond the campus gates. Lally Agatep sat alone near the College of Arts and Letters, her second-hand accounting textbook balanced on her knees. She nibbled on a cheap Siopow, trying to ignore the growling in her stomach and the ink stain on her white university polo. Life had never been kind to Lally. Her father had walked out when she was 8, leaving her mother, Alan Gloria, to raise her alone in a cramped Tondo apartment. Men are temporary, Enoch, her mother always said with tired eyes. But you have to be strong enough for both of us. Lally studied like her future depended on it because it did. She dreamed of becoming a CPA, of finally buying her mother a real house instead of the leaking one they shared with 2 other families. She never expected someone like Vincent Soriano to notice her. He was playing basketball with his friends a few meters away, tall, confident, with skin kissed by the sun and a laugh that carried across the field. Vincent was the kind of guy whose last name opened doors. Soriano, construction empire, private school background. Everything Lally wasn't. When the ball bounced wildly and rolled straight to her feet, Vincent jogged over, wiping sweat from his brow with the hem of his shirt. Sorry about that, he said, flashing a boyish grin that made her heart stutter. Didn't mean to interrupt the future accountant at work. Lally looked up, shielding her eyes from the sun. Up close, he was dangerously handsome, warm brown eyes, strong jaw, and that easy charm that probably got him whatever he wanted. She handed him the ball. It's fine. You play like someone who's never had to worry about failing a subject. Vincent laughed, a rich, genuine sound. Instead of walking away, he dropped down onto the grass beside her, the basketball spinning lazily between his hands. Guilty, but I've seen you in Soci. You always have the right answers while the rest of us are pretending to take notes. What's your secret? Lally felt her cheeks warm. No secret. Just no rich parents to bail me out if I mess up. She paused, then added softly, some of us can't afford to fail. Vincent's smile faded into something gentler. He studied her for a moment. That's what I like about you, Lally Agata. You're real. Most girls here only talk about the next mall sale, or which barcata is throwing the best party. You talk like you already have a plan for life. They talked until the sky turned orange and pink. Vincent told her about the pressure of being the only son, his father's endless expectations to take over the family business, the cold marble halls of their Ayala Alabang mansion that never felt like home. Lally opened up about her mother's double shifts at the call center, the way she sometimes cried at night thinking her daughter would end up trapped like her. You're incredible, Vincent said quietly as the first stars blinked above them. He reached out and gently brushed a strand of hair from her face. His fingers lingered on her cheek. Don't ever let anyone make you feel small. Lally's breath caught. No one had ever looked at her like that, like she mattered. Their love bloomed fast and bright, like sampaguita flowers after rain. 2 weeks later, a sudden downpour caught them outside a small cafe near campus. Instead of running for cover, Vincent grabbed her hand and they dashed through the sheets of rain, laughing breathlessly. They ended up soaked under the overhang of an old building by the sunken garden, water dripping from their hair. You're crazy, Lally gasped, wiping her face, her white shirt now clinging to her skin. Vincent pulled her close, his hands warm on her waist despite the chill. Only crazy for you, Lally. His voice dropped, serious now. I've never felt this way about anyone. You make me want to be better than the guy my parents expect me to be. He leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away. When their lips met, it was soft and tentative at first strain, pouring around them, the world fading. Then it deepened, hungry and full of wonder. Lally's hands clutched his wet shirt as fireworks exploded behind her closed eyes. When they finally parted, foreheads touching, Vincent whispered, I think I'm falling hard for you. Lally Akatep, she smiled against his lips, heart racing. Then catch me if I fall too. I'm terrified of heights, and of getting hurt. Never, he promised, kissing her again softer this time. I've got you. 3 months flew by in a haze of stolen moments and whispered dreams. One quiet Saturday evening, they were in Lally's tiny rented room. Her roommates were out for the night. Vincent had brought pancit guisado and fried chicken from their favorite carinderia, spreading it on the floor like a picnic. They fed each other bites, laughing when sauce dripped onto Lally's chin. "You're so messy," Vincent teased, leaning in to kiss the corner of her mouth. His lips lingered, tasting of soy sauce and happiness. Lally giggled and pushed him playfully. "Says the guy who eats like he's never seen food before." "Slow down, rich boy." He pulled her onto his lap instead, arms wrapping around her waist. "I'm serious tonight. I want this every single day. You, me, simple food, this room even if it's small. No pretending. No hiding from my family's rules." Lally traced his jaw with her fingertip, her voice turning vulnerable. "Your mom will hate me, Vince. I'm from Tondo. No connections. No money. She say I trapped you." Vincent's eyes darkened with quiet pain, for a split second something deeper than she could understand. He cupped her face. "Then I'll choose you every time. I don't want the perfect Soriana life if it means losing you. You make me feel free." That night they made love for the first time. The room was lit only by a small lamp. It was awkward and sweet nervous laughter when hands fumbled, tender whispers of, "Is this okay?" And I've never felt this close to anyone. Vincent touched her like she was precious, kissing every inch of her skin as if memorizing her. Afterward, they lay tangled in the thin blanket, Lally's head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "I love you," she whispered, drawing lazy circles on his skin. "More than I thought I could love anyone." Vincent held her tighter, his voice thick with emotion. "I love you too, Lally, more than anything. Whatever comes, we face it together. You, me, and whatever future we build." But even in that perfect moment, a shadow flickered in his eyes, something unspoken, a secret he buried deep. 2 weeks later, the world shifted. Lally stood in the cramped, flickering light bathroom of her boarding house, staring at the pregnancy test in her shaking hands. 2 bold pink lines stared back at her. Tears blurred her vision. She was only 19. Her mother would be heartbroken. Vincent's powerful family would call her a gold digger. She met him that evening at their usual spot near the oblation statue. The air smelled of impending rain and night-blooming jasmine. Vincent noticed her pale face immediately. "Hey, what's wrong? You look like the world just ended." He pulled her into a hug, rubbing her back. "Tell me." Lally stepped back, pulled the test from her bag, and handed it to him with trembling fingers. Her voice cracked. "I'm pregnant, Vince. We're going to have a baby." Vincent froze. The color drained from his face. For one terrifying second, Lally saw raw fear in his eyes, the same fear she felt. Then something else took over. Resolve, love, and a fierce protectiveness. He stared at the test, then at her. Slowly, he dropped to his knees, right there on the grass, pulling her close so his forehead rested against her stomach. "A baby," he whispered, voice breaking. Tears glistened in his eyes. "Our baby. Lally, this isn't an accident. This is our chance. A real family. One we choose." Lally sobbed, her hands in his hair. "But your parents? My mom, we're so young. How will we survive? I don't want you to regret this." "To regret me." Vincent stood up and cupped her face, thumbs wiping her tears. "Listen to me. I'm not running. I'm not leaving you or our child. We'll get married. I'll drop out if I have to and work at my father's company. Night school for both of us. It won't be easy, but it will be ours." He placed a gentle hand on her still flat belly, his voice softening with wonder. "Hey, little one. This is Papa. I already love you so much. I promise I'll take care of you and your mommy. No matter what." Lally let out a shaky laugh through her tears, and buried her face in his chest. "You really mean it, even if everything falls apart. Especially then." He kissed her forehead, then her lips, slow and full of promise. "I jumped the moment I met you. Now we jump together." Under the shadow of the oblation, with the distant sounds of campus life and the first drops of rain beginning to fall, they held each other tightly. They believed love would conquer everything. They didn't know yet how heavy secrets could become. They didn't know that some loves are born from joy, and others are hidden in pain. But for tonight, in each other's arms, Their little family of 3 felt like the beginning of forever. 10 years later in Quezon City, the aroma of adobo filled their modest 3-bedroom apartment in Quezon City. Lally stood at the small kitchen counter, stirring the pot with one hand while humming an old OPM love song. At 29, she had grown into a quiet beauty, her once messy ponytail, now a neat bun. Her figure softened by motherhood and time. She still cooked Vincent's favorite dishes, exactly the way he liked them. Extra garlic, a splash of cane vinegar, and just enough laurel leaves. Miguel, dinner's almost ready she called out. 10-year-old. Miguel came running from the living room, his school uniform still on, a toy car in his hand. Is Papa coming home early tonight? He promised we'd play NBA 2K after dinner. Lally smiled, though it didn't quite reach her eyes. He said he'll try, baby. Papa's been very busy at the company lately. She glanced at the clock. 8:47 p.m. Vincent had texted earlier. Client meeting. Might be late. Don't wait up. Love you. She told herself it was normal. He was now a mid-level executive at Soriano Construction. Long hours came with the territory. Still, something felt off lately. The way he sometimes stared at his phone with a distant look. The new cologne he started wearing. The way he pulled away when she tried to cuddle at night. But Lally pushed the thoughts aside. She had learned early in marriage that worrying too much could break what was already fragile. Vincent arrived past 10 p.m. He kicked off his shoes at the door, loosening his tie with tired fingers. Lally had kept his dinner warm. She greeted him with a soft kiss on the cheek and a plate of adobo and rice. Welcome home, she said gently, searching his face. Rough day. Vincent gave her a quick smile that felt rehearsed. Same old. Meetings that could have been emails. He sat down at the table and began eating mechanically. How was your day? Miguel, okay? He aced his math quiz. Asked about you the whole evening. Lally sat across from him, watching him. We missed you. Guilt flashed across Vincent's eyes for a split second. He reached over and squeezed her hand. I'm sorry, hun. I'll make it up to both of you this weekend. Maybe we can go to Tagaytay like old times. Lally's face brightened. Really, Miguel would love that. Remember our first trip there? You carried me on your back when my slippers broke. Vincent chuckled softly, but the laugh didn't linger. Yeah, simpler times. After dinner, they put Miguel to bed together. The boy hugged his father tightly. Good night, Papa. Love you. Love you more, champ, Vincent whispered, kissing his son's forehead. Once Miguel's door was closed, Lally slipped her arms around Vincent from behind in the hallway. She pressed her cheek against his back. I've missed this. Missed us. You've been so distant lately. Vincent stiffened slightly, then turned and pulled her into a proper hug. I know. Work's just heavy, but I'm here now. They moved to their bedroom. Lally changed into one of his old shirts, the way she always did. She climbed into bed and nestled against him, her hand resting on his chest. Tell me something sweet, she murmured, the way she used to when they were younger. Like before, Vincent hesitated. Then he kissed the top of her head. You're still the best thing that ever happened to me, Lally. You and Miguel. You keep me grounded. She smiled and tilted her face up for a kiss. It started gentle, familiar. But when she deepened it, Vincent responded at first. Then gently pulled away. I'm really tired tonight, he said softly, turning off the bedside lamp. Rain check. Lally lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling. Her chest felt tight. Okay, she whispered. Good night, Vince. She told herself it was just exhaustion. Marriage wasn't always fireworks after 10 years. But deep down, a small voice whispered that something precious was slipping away. The next morning was Saturday. Vincent surprised her by waking up early and making breakfast scrambled eggs, hot pan d'Azelle with cheese, and coffee just the way she liked it. Miguel cheered when he saw his father in the kitchen. Papa's cooking. The boy exclaimed, climbing onto a chair. Lally laughed as she entered, still in her robe. What's the occasion? Did I win the wife lottery today? Vincent pulled her close and kissed her properly this time, slow, warm, almost desperate. You've always been the jackpot, Mrs. Soriano. They spent the morning as a family. Vincent played basketball with Miguel in the small courtyard of their compound, while Lally watched from the balcony, taking photos. Later they all went to the nearby mall for groceries and watched a movie. Vincent held her hand the entire time, laughing at Miguel's jokes and stealing glances at Lally like he used to. For a few precious hours, everything felt right again. Like the young couple under the acacia trees 10 years ago. That night, after Miguel was asleep, they made love. It was tender and slow, filled with whispered I love yous, and familiar touches. Vincent held her afterward like he was afraid she might disappear. Lally fell asleep with a smile, her head on his chest, believing the distance had only been temporary. But when she woke at 3 a.m. to get water, she found Vincent in the living room, sitting in the dark, staring at his phone. The screen lit his face with a soft glow. His expression was longing mixed with pain. He quickly locked the phone when he heard her footsteps. "Can't sleep?" Lally asked softly, approaching him. Vincent forced a smile. "Just checking emails. Go back to bed, hun. I'll be there soon." She nodded, but as she walked away, she couldn't shake the feeling that the man she married was slowly becoming a stranger. A week later, the doorbell rang one humid July evening. Lally was finishing the dishes while Vincent helped Miguel with homework. She wiped her hands on a towel and opened the door. A tall, strikingly handsome man stood there holding an expensive bottle of wine. His hair was stylishly cut, his smile confident and warm. He wore a simple but expensive black shirt that showed off his broad shoulders. "Hi, is Vincent home?" he asked, voice smooth and familiar. Before Lally could answer, Vincent appeared behind her. His entire body went rigid. "Eric." Vincent's voice came out hoarse. Eric Del Mundo grinned, eyes locking with Vincent's for a beat too long. "Long time no see, pair. Heard you're doing well at Soriano Construction. I just moved back from Singapore. Got a job as creative director in your company starting Monday." Lally smiled brightly, completely unaware of the storm brewing. "Oh, you're Vincent's old friend from La Salle. Come in. We were just about to have dinner. There's plenty of adobo left." Eric stepped inside, his gaze flicking briefly to Lally before returning to Vincent. "Thank you. I'd love that." Over dinner, Eric was charming and funny, telling stories about his years abroad. Miguel listened. Lally laughed at his jokes and kept refilling his plate. "You two must have so many memories," she said warmly. "High school barkade?" Vincent's fork froze midair. "Something like that." Eric's eyes met Vincent's across the table. There was heat there. History. Something unspoken and electric. "Best memories of my life," Eric said quietly, his voice carrying a meaning only Vincent understood. "Some things you never really forget." After Eric left, the apartment felt heavier. Lally cleared the table, humming happily. "He seems really nice. We should invite him over again. It's good for you to have old friends." Vincent stood by the window, staring out into the night. His hands were clenched at his sides. "Yeah," he said flatly. "Really good." That night when Lally reached for him in bed, Vincent turned away again. "I'm sorry," he muttered. "Headache?" Lally lay awake long after he fell into uneasy sleep. For the first time in years, she felt truly afraid not of losing money or status, but of losing the man she had loved since she was 19. She didn't know that the secret Vincent had buried for over a decade had just walked back into their lives, and this time it refused to stay hidden. The first few weeks after Eric's return felt deceptively normal. At the Soriano Construction head office in Ortigas, Vincent and Eric's desks faced each other in the open-plan creative department. Every morning, Vincent would arrive to find Eric already there, sleeves rolled up, coffee in hand, flashing that same crooked smile from their La Salle days. "Mornings, Mr. Soriano," Eric would say, voice low enough that only Vincent could hear the teasing edge. "Sleep well." Vincent would force a professional nod, but his pulse always quickened. "Busy night, you?" "Dreaming of old times," Eric replied once, eyes lingering a second too long. The tension built slowly, like humidity before a typhoon. It started with innocent lunches that stretched longer than they should. Then came late-night brainstorming sessions in the empty boardroom. One rainy afternoon, the office was nearly deserted. Eric closed the glass door and leaned against the table. "You've been avoiding being alone with me," Eric said quietly. 10 years, Vince. 10 years of me waiting in Singapore, telling myself you were happy with your wife and kid. But the moment I saw you again, I knew you weren't. Vincent's hands trembled as he gripped the edge of the table. I have a family, Eric. Miguel is 10. Lally, she's been through enough. I can't do this. Eric stepped closer until only inches separated them. Then why do you look at me like you're starving? Why do you still wear the watch I gave you before you got married? Vincent's breath hitched. Eric reached out and gently traced the silver watch on Vincent's wrist, the one he had never taken off. Even when Lally asked about it, I never stopped loving you, Eric whispered, voice rough with emotion. You married her because she got pregnant. I understood. I stepped aside, but you're killing yourself living this lie. Every time you pull away from her in bed, every time you stare at your phone hoping it's me, I see it. Tears burned in Vincent's eyes. You don't understand. My father, my mother, they would destroy me. And Miguel, I can't lose my son. Eric cupped Vincent's face with both hands. Then let me love you the way you were meant to be loved. Just once. Tell me to stop and I will. Vincent didn't say stop. Their first kiss after 10 years was desperate, hungry, angry, and full of years of suppressed longing. Eric pushed him against the boardroom wall, hands sliding under Vincent's shirt while rain hammered the windows. Vincent kissed him back like a drowning man gasping for air. We can't do this here. Vincent gasped when they finally broke apart, lips swollen. Eric smiled darkly. Then let's go somewhere we can. 2 days later, they met at a discreet boutique hotel in Makati. Vincent told Lally it was an overnight team building into. She had packed his overnight bag with extra clothes and even slipped in a small note. Come home safe. We love you. Lally and Miguel, the guilt nearly made him cancelled, but the moment the hotel room door clicked shut behind them, guilt dissolved into fire. Eric didn't waste time. He pulled Vincent inside, kicking the door closed. Their kisses were frantic, clothes hitting the floor in a trail from the entrance to the king-sized bed. Eric's hands roamed with confidence and tenderness, at the same time touching Vincent in ways Lally never had. In places that made Vincent moan despite himself. You're so beautiful, Eric murmured against his neck, lips trailing down Vincent's chest. I've dreamed of this every single night for 10 years. Vincent's fingers dug into Eric's back as they fell onto the bed. Eric, God, I missed you. The lovemaking was intense, passionate, and achingly familiar. For the first time in years, Vincent felt truly seen, not as the responsible husband, not as the dutiful son, but as himself. Eric whispered words of love between gasps, holding him afterward like he was afraid Vincent would vanish again. In the quiet afterglow, Vincent lay with his head on Eric's chest, listening to his heartbeat. I love you, Eric said softly, stroking Vincent's hair. I always have. But I won't force you to choose. Just don't shut me out again. Vincent closed his eyes, tears slipping down his temples. I don't know how to live without both of you. The affair deepened quickly. Secret text messages with coded emojis. Stolen lunches that turned into hotel afternoons. Vincent started going to the gym religiously, not for Lally, but so he could look good for Eric. He bought new cologne. He smiled more at work. At home he tried harder to be the perfect husband. One Sunday, he took Lally and Miguel to Luneta Park for a picnic. They flew kites, ate fish balls from a street vendor, and watched the sunset over Manila Bay. Miguel ran ahead laughing while Vincent held Lally's hand. You seem happier lately, Lally said, leaning her head on his shoulder. Work must be treating you well. Vincent swallowed the lump in his throat. Yeah, things are looking up. That night he made love to Lally, gentle, attentive, almost apologetic. She fell asleep smiling in his arms. But the next morning, he left early for another client meeting and spent 3 hours in Eric's arms at the same Makati hotel. The guilt was eating him alive. Yet he couldn't stop. Then came the night. Everything shattered. Lally had a client dinner in Ortigas that was suddenly cancelled. She decided to surprise Vincent with his favorite halo from their old college spot. She texted him, coming home early with a treat for my hardworking husband. Vincent didn't see the message. He was already home. The apartment was quiet when Lally entered. She kicked off her heels, smiling as she carried the plastic bag of Halo to the bedroom to surprise him. Soft laughter drifted from behind the closed door. Then a low moan, deep, masculine, and definitely not hers. Lally's heart slammed against her ribs. Her hands turned ice-cold. She pushed the bedroom door open slowly. The sight hit her like a truck. Vincent and Eric were tangled on their marital bed, the same bed where Miguel was conceived, where they had made love just nights ago. Vincent's back was arched, his face buried in Eric's neck, lost in pleasure. Eric's hands gripped Vincent's hips, guiding him with practiced ease. Clothes were scattered everywhere. Vincent's white shirt draped over the bedside lamp. Eric's jeans on the floor. Time froze. The plastic bag slipped from Lally's fingers. Halo spilled across the wooden floor with a wet splatter. Vincent's head snapped up. His eyes met hers, wide with shock, horror, and something that looked like relief mixed with unbearable guilt. He choked out, scrambling off Eric, grabbing a pillow to cover himself. "It's not, don't," Lally whispered. Her voice was glass-shattering. Tears streamed down her face, but she didn't sob. "Not yet. Don't you dare say it's not what it looks like." Eric sat up slowly, reaching for his shirt, his face pale. "Lally, I'm so sorry. This isn't how. Get out," she said, louder now. Her entire body trembled. "Both of you. Get the hell out of my house." Vincent stumbled toward her, still half naked, tears in his eyes. "Please, Lally, let me explain. I love you. I swear I do. This is something I've fought my whole life, love." Lally's laugh was broken, bitter. "You call this love? On our bed. While our son is sleeping at my mother's tonight. While I've been waiting for you, every single night." She backed away when he tried to touch her. "Don't touch me. Don't you ever touch me again." Eric dressed quickly and slipped past her, murmuring, "I'll wait downstairs." Before disappearing, Vincent stood there, naked and shaking. "I never wanted to hurt you. I tried so hard to be the man you deserved. But I'm gay, Lally. I've always been. The baby, our marriage. I thought it would fix me. But it didn't. It only made everything worse." Lally's knees buckled. She slid down the wall, hugging herself. "Then why did you marry me? Why did you let me fall in love with you? Why did you give me 10 years of lies?" Vincent knelt in front of her, crying openly now. "Because I loved you too. In my own broken way. You gave me Miguel. You gave me a life I thought I could live. But every day I was dying inside." "Get out," she repeated, voice hollow. "Take your things and go. I don't want to see your face tonight." Vincent dressed with shaking hands. Before he left, he paused at the door. "I'll come back for Miguel when you're ready." "I'm sorry, Lally, I'm so sorry." The door clicked shut. Lally remained on the floor, surrounded by spilled Halo melting into the wood. She stared at the rumpled bedsheets, the indentation where 2 bodies had been. Then the sobs came, deep gut, animal sounds of pure heartbreak. The man she had loved since she was 19. The father of her child, the one she thought would be her forever, had never truly been hers. And now, everything she believed about her marriage lay shattered on the bedroom floor. Lally didn't sleep that night. She sat on the cold bathroom floor until dawn, knees pulled to her chest, staring at the wedding ring on her finger. The same ring Vincent had slipped on her hand 10 years ago at City Hall with shaking, hopeful hands. Now it felt like a chain. At 6 a.m., she packed 2 suitcases, clothes for her and Miguel, important documents, and the small wooden box that held their old love letters and ultrasound photos. Every item she touched burned with memories. The cheap Tagaytay bedsheets they couldn't afford. Miguel's first baby clothes. The anniversary necklace Vincent had given her last year. She woke Miguel gently at 7 a.m. "We're going to Lola's house for a while," she said. Forcing her voice to stay steady, Miguel rubbed his sleepy eyes. "Why, is Papa coming too?" Lally's heart cracked. "No, baby. Just us for now." The taxi ride to Tundo was silent, except for the sound of rain starting to fall. Miguel clutched his favorite toy car, sensing something was terribly wrong. When they arrived at her mother's cramped apartment, Aline Gloria took one look at Lally's swollen eyes and pulled her into a tight hug. "And on Inagram nangyari anak." Her mother whispered. Lally broke down in the tiny sala, sobbing into her mother's shoulder, while Miguel watched wide-eyed from the doorway. See Vincent, may lalakisha Lally choked out. I caught them. In our bed. Aline Gloria's face hardened with fury and pain. Putang Ina. That rich boy. I knew his family would destroy you. The news reached the Soriano mansion before lunch. Elaine Soriano stormed into Lally's mother's apartment, like a hurricane in designer heels and pearls. 2 bodyguards waited outside. She didn't even knock properly. She pushed the door open, as if she owned the place. Where is that ungrateful woman? Elaine demanded, voice sharp enough to cut glass. Lally stepped out from the kitchen, eyes red but chin held high. Miguel hid behind her legs. Mrs. Soriano, Lally said coldly. What do you want? Elaine's eyes narrowed. I want my grandson. And I want you to stop spreading lies about my son. Vincent would never. He is not like that. You must have driven him to it. What kind of wife are you? Can't even keep your husband satisfied. Lally laughed bitterly. Satisfied? I gave him 10 years. I gave him a son. I cooked for him, waited for him, loved him even when he came home late every night. And he was sleeping with his male lover in our marital bed. Elaine's face twisted in disgust. Lies. My son is not abnormal. This is your fault. You trapped him with that pregnancy. Now you want to ruin our family name with your cheap drama. She turned to Miguel, softening her voice artificially. Miguel Apo, come with Lola Elaine. We have a big house, a swimming pool, everything you want. You don't have to live in this place. Miguel shook his head, clinging tighter to Lally. I want to stay with mommy. Elaine's mask slipped. You see? Even your own son will choose money eventually. Sign the papers, Lally. Give me full custody of Miguel, and I'll make sure you get a decent settlement. Otherwise, my lawyers will destroy you. Lally stepped forward, voice trembling with rage. You will never take my son from me. Get out of my mother's house. Elaine smirked. We'll see about that. Sorianos always win. She swept out, leaving behind the scent of expensive perfume and pure venom. That same afternoon, the gossip began to spread. A blurry photo of Eric leaving their apartment building had already leaked on Facebook. By evening, it was everywhere. My husband's lover. Real-life teleserie unfolds in Quezon City trended on Twitter. Comments flooded in. Poor wife. Caught them in bed. Typical rich boy hiding in the closet. Soriano family scandal. Elaine must be furious. Lally's phone wouldn't stop ringing. Friends, relatives, even old classmates. She turned it off and cried in the bathroom so Miguel wouldn't hear. At 11 p.m. The rain poured like the heavens were mourning with her. Lally was trying to rock a restless Miguel to sleep, when loud knocking echoed through the thin walls of the apartment. Labas, Lally. Please let me talk to you. It was Vincent. She opened the door just enough to see him standing in the pouring rain, completely soaked. His white shirt clung to his body, hair plastered to his forehead, eyes desperate and red-rimmed. Please, he begged, voice cracking. He dropped to his knees, right there on the dirty concrete steps. Rain mixed with tears on his face. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Let me explain. I never wanted to hurt you like this. Lally stood in the doorway, arms crossed, fighting the urge to pull him inside and comfort him. The same instinct she had carried for 10 years. Explain what, Vincent? She shouted over the rain. How you lied to me for 10 years. How you made love to me while thinking of him. How our son now has to grow up knowing his father prefers men. Vincent crawled forward on his knees, grabbing the hem of her shirt. I was scared. My father beat me when I was 15, after he caught me with a boy. Sent me to military school. Told me Soriano, men don't love other men. When you got pregnant, I thought it was my salvation. A way to be normal. I loved you, Lally. I still love you. But I love Eric too. I'm broken. I'm so fucking broken. Lally's tears mixed with the rain splashing on her face. Then why didn't you tell me? Why did you let me build my whole life around a lie? Because I was terrified of losing Miguel, of losing you, of my mother disowning me. His voice broke into sobs. Please, don't take my son away. I'll do anything. Counseling. Separate rooms. Just don't leave me completely. From inside, Miguel's small voice called out, "Papa, is that you?" Vincent's face crumpled. "Miguel, Papa's here." Lally stepped back, blocking the doorway. "Go home, Vincent. Or go to him. But don't come here begging in the rain like some character in a teleseries. Our son deserves better than a father who lives a double life." She slammed the door. Vincent remained on his knees in the rain for a long time. Forehead pressed against the cold metal gate, shoulders shaking with sobs. Inside, Lally filed for legal separation the next morning. The gossip columns feasted. Photos of Vincent leaving the apartment, Elaine Soriano's icy statements to the press, denying everything, and blurry shots of Eric at the airport looking devastated. Lally moved what little furniture she could to a small rented apartment in Makati, paid for by her savings. Miguel asked every night why Papa wasn't coming home. She didn't know how to explain. 1 week later, Vincent showed up again, sober this time with flowers and a letter. Lally met him at the gate. "I'm not coming back to you," she said quietly. "Not as your wife. But Miguel needs his father. We'll arrange visitation. That's all I can give you right now." Vincent nodded, eyes hollow. "Thank you. I know I don't deserve it." As he walked away, Lally watched the man she once loved disappear into the Manila night. Her heart was shattered into 1,000 pieces. But somewhere deep inside, amid the anger and pain, a tiny spark of strength began to glow. She would survive this. She had to, for Miguel, and maybe, one day, for herself. 2 weeks had passed since the night Lally found them. The small Makati apartment felt both too quiet and too loud. Miguel slept in the second bedroom, but he woke up crying twice that week, asking for Papa. Lally would hold him until he fell back asleep, humming the same lullaby she sang when he was a baby. During the day she worked from home, eyes swollen, answering client emails with robotic politeness, while her heart felt like shattered glass. She had stopped crying in front of Miguel. The tears came at night, silent and endless, soaking her pillow. One Thursday evening, just after sunset, the doorbell rang. Lally opened the door expecting her mother with dinner. Instead, Vincent stood there in a plain white shirt and jeans, looking like he hadn't slept in days. His eyes were sunken, cheeks hollow. "Can I come in?" he asked quietly. "Just to talk, no drama, I promise." Lally hesitated, then stepped aside. 5 minutes. "Miguel is doing homework. Don't upset him." They sat at the tiny dining table. Vincent kept his hands folded, staring at the wooden surface as if it held all the answers. "I owe you the truth," he began, voice hoarse. "The whole truth, not the pieces I gave you that night." Lally crossed her arms, bracing herself. "Then speak." Vincent took a deep breath. "I was 15 when I first knew. There was this boy in my batch at La Salle. Smart, quiet, funny. We became close. One night after a basketball game, we kissed. It felt right, like breathing after holding my breath my whole life." His voice cracked. "My father found out. He beat me so badly I couldn't go to school for a week. Called me every name you can imagine. Then he sent me to a military-style camp in the province for the whole summer. They told me every day that real men don't feel this way, that it was a sickness, that I would destroy the Soriano name." Lally listened in silence, her throat tight. "When I met you in Up," Vincent continued, eyes glistening, "you were the first person who made me feel normal, safe. You looked at me like I was enough. When you got pregnant, I saw it as God giving me a second chance. A way out of the shame. I told myself if I loved you hard enough, the other feelings would disappear. I really believed that, Lally." He reached across the table but stopped himself. "I did love you. I still do. You gave me Miguel, the best thing in my life. But every night I went to bed feeling like I was living someone else's life. I tried, Lally, therapy in secret, praying, forcing myself to want only you. But it never went away. It only got heavier." Tears slipped down Lally's cheeks. "So all those years, every time you touched me, part of you was pretending." Vincent shook his head fiercely. "No, not pretending. I felt love for you, but it was never the complete love you deserved. You deserved someone who could give you all of himself. I couldn't, and that's my greatest failure." The room fell quiet, except for the distant sound of Manila traffic. Lally wiped her face. And Eric? Vincent's expression softened with pain and longing. Eric was my first love. We were together in secret during senior year. When you got pregnant, I ended it. He left for Singapore so I could try to be the man my family wanted. He waited 10 years. When he came back, I couldn't fight it anymore. Being with him feels like coming home to myself. But hurting you and Miguel, it's killing me. Later that night, after Vincent left, Eric came. He stood outside the gate, hands in his pockets, looking smaller than the confident man who had walked into their apartment weeks ago. Lally let him in only because Miguel was already asleep. I'm not here to fight or beg for Vincent, Eric said softly as they stood in the dimly lit sala. I need you to know my side. Not as an excuse. Just so you understand. Lally sat on the worn sofa, arms wrapped around herself. Talk. Eric took the chair across from her. I fell in love with Vincent when we were 16. He was terrified, but so brave in his own way. We hid everything, stolen moments in empty classrooms, late night texts deleted immediately. When Lally got pregnant, he chose you and the baby. I was devastated, but I respected it. I left the country so I wouldn't be a temptation. His voice wavered. In Singapore, I tried to move on. Dated other men. Built a career. But no one was him. When I heard the company was looking for a creative director, I applied. I told myself I would only be professional. But the moment I saw him again, all the old feelings came rushing back. I swear I tried to stay away. I told him to be honest with you. But love makes cowards of even the strongest people. Eric looked down, tears falling freely. I never wanted to destroy your family, Lally. I know what it feels like to hide who you are. My own father disowned me when I came out at 22. I lived on the streets for months. I wouldn't wish that pain on anyone, especially not on you and your son. Lally stared at him for a long time. The anger was still there, burning hot. But something else was creeping in, a reluctant understanding. You both chose secrecy over honesty, she said finally, voice tired. You both let me build a life on quicksand. That's what hurts the most. Eric nodded. I know, and I'm sorry. If I could take back the pain I caused you, I would. But I can't. All I can do now is step back if you want me to. Or, if you're willing. Maybe we can find a way where Miguel doesn't lose his father completely. The next few days were a blur of uneasy conversations. Lally met Vincent again in a quiet cafe in BGC, away from prying eyes. Miguel was with her mother. I'm not ready to forgive you, she told him plainly. Maybe I never will be your wife again. But I see now that you were trapped too, by your family, by fear, by this country that still makes people like you feel ashamed. Vincent's eyes filled with fresh tears. Thank you for even saying that. Lally looked out the window at the bustling city. Miguel keeps asking why Papa isn't home. I don't know how to explain this to a 10-year-old without breaking his heart. So for now, you can see him, supervised, twice a week. But no Eric around him yet. Not until I'm ready. Vincent nodded quickly. Anything. I'll take whatever you give me. As she stood to leave, Lally paused. One more thing. Stop hating yourself so much, Vincent. You're gay. It's not a disease. It's not something your father or mother gets to define. But lying, that part was your choice. And that's what I'm still struggling with. Vincent stood as well, voice soft. I'm starting therapy. Real therapy this time. No more hiding. I want to be a better father, a better man, even if I can't be your husband anymore. For the first time since the discovery, Lally didn't feel only rage when she looked at him. There was pain, yes. Betrayal, absolutely. But underneath it, a tiny, fragile thread of compassion was beginning to form. She wasn't ready to forgive, but she was beginning to understand. And in the complicated landscape of a broken marriage, understanding was the first small step toward something that might one day resemble peace. Outside the cafe, the Manila sky was turning pink with dusk. Lally walked home alone, the weight on her chest a little lighter than before, not gone, but no longer crushing her completely. She still had a long way to go, but for the first time in weeks, she didn't feel entirely alone in the dark.